This freaked me out. I told friends and showed them the video, and they said, burn your house down and put it out with holy water, which was no help whatsoever. That's the kind of friend I am. I don't know how to help you, just burn your house down. Like,
I gotta go potty.
all right, you lot, it's Sunday. Okay, I don't know what is going on with my hair. Look how curly it is. I haven't done anything. I've literally just had it back in a ponytail all day, like low pony, and it's just gone absolutely wild. So yeah, but it looks like I made effort for you, so I did, of course, make effort for you guys. So first of all, this is my second video podcast and I'm buzzing about it. And I thought today I'd just read to you from my book, which is going to be backwards probably on here. But it is, you can't actually see it, can you? The camera's just not picking it up because I got a background on. But it is, oh, there we go. I'll hold it in front of me. It's Real Ghost Stories and it's 51. It's not 50. I added an extra bonus in there. So you guys get more stories. It's $12.99. It's on my website. I'll put the link in the description for you. I am going to give some of it to charity, but I don't really know, like maybe £1 every book sale. The postage is included in the price, so I'm not going to like add any more than I needed to. I just needed to add what I needed to add, you know. I am not here to rip you guys off. I'm just here to create the content. Okay, this is all ghost stories from you guys, which I love. So if you want a copy of this, it's a great coffee table book. You can just dip in and out. You can even put it by the toilet and have a little read, you know, while you go into the toilet, I suppose. Anyway, if you are here, wherever you're listening, please can I ask you to follow the page, subscribe, like, hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I do a video, because this is really new to me. I'm trying to say all the right things and do the right things to grow this channel because I really want to get out there and in front of as many people as possible, because I need as many ghost stories as I can to keep this page running and to give you what we all really want, which is the goods, isn't it? The ghost tea. That's what we really want up in here. Now, I actually am going to read from my book today because it just makes sense. It's a Sunday, it's chill. I am in obviously some lovely, comfortable clothing. I have actually marked the page, which some people are going to hate. I'm sorry about that. But this is my book. So technically I'm allowed to. So I hope you forgive me for that. As I said, all of these stories are from people who follow my page. And I started on TikTok. If you're not watching this on TikTok, I started on TikTok. That's where the main bulk of my followers are. I've recently just branched out into YouTube and I've just gone over 500 subs. So thank you if you're on YouTube and you're watching me. I'm really grateful that you're here. I was a little bit late to the YouTube party because I thought I'd keep all my videos in one place. Obviously, that didn't serve me very well because I had no idea a year later I should have been putting them on YouTube, because in 6 weeks I got over 500 subs, which is mental. So I'm going to be doing longer format content format. I can't speak. Longer form content for you guys on YouTube as well. But let's just calm the mood down, okay? But first of all, I just got to start by saying I hope that you're having an amazing week, okay? I hope you are healthy, feeling good about yourself, feeling worthy of being in this world, because you damn well are. And I know this is a ghost stories page, but I cannot help but care about people's emotions too. I love everyone. I love connecting with people. Hopefully you guys feel that when I actually talk to you through TikTok, because I try and have as many conversations as I can, because I just find it so valuable. But if you're not having a good week, don't worry. You're in the right place. Put your brain in a bowl and let's just unwind and chill out together, okay? I'm obviously going to be flapping this book around. So sorry about that, but the noises are quite nice actually. Now this, if you have the book, is story 33 and it's called A Ghost Walk Gone Wrong. Now forgive me because I can't always remember everyone's name that sends me the stories. I know vaguely who sent me this. It's a girl who I've spoken to quite a bit, but her name is escaping me. God, I'm going to kick myself for that later. I'm so sorry. I think it begins with S. Shannon. I think it's that. I'm not sure. Myself and my friend Gemma decided to go on a walk around Eyam. It was a dark October evening. Now, just as a bit of a background, if you guys don't know, Eyam is a historic plague village. Okay, lots and lots of history there. And I believe it's the place where the lady buried pretty much all of her family. I will probably do like a little conversation on that actually, because it's a really interesting place. Anyway, she says, we pulled up outside the churchyard and pretty much shit ourselves and thought, nope, not happening. Anyone who's been to Eyam at night will understand. There's hardly any street lamps by the church. It's just a giant floodlight facing the church. Now, Eyam is in Derbyshire in the UK, just so you know. Gemma drove up the road to turn around, and as we were passing the church, I said, I hope we don't break down. We both started laughing, and as she turned a corner, we heard a thud. She stopped the car, and the tyre had gone completely flat. We were stuck on this country lane on a Sunday night in the middle of nowhere. Can you imagine how gross that would be? Thank God they were together, because if you remember, if you watch my TikToks, there's a story from Darren and on YouTube as well, the man with the wooden leg. He actually stopped on a country road because he had a flat tire and there was a clip, clip, clip sound coming towards him, and he saw this like figure in the background with this like lantern coming towards him out of the mist. Talk about a horror film scene. And he's like trying to get the tire off as quick as he can, and this sound's getting closer and closer and closer to him. And eventually he manages to get the new tire on, do the bolts up, throw everything in the car, get to the driver's side and drive off. And this voice, before he actually goes, says, can I help ye? And to be fair, quite helpful old ghost, but nonetheless, country lanes on your own would be way scarier. This is still horrible. So she says, we decided to get out of the car and take a walk to the pub to see if anyone had a car jack or would help us to change the tyre. And no one would help. Actual shame on everyone in that damn pub, because two girls broken down on a country lane who need help. Imagine if that made the news and you were the one in the pub who didn't help them. Absolutely shocking. Let this be a telling off to anyone who wouldn't help in that situation. I don't know how to change a tyre. Would I go with them, stare at the tyre and try and pretend? Absolutely. You know, try and grab someone to help them. It wouldn't be me, but I would try at least. She says, we walked back to the car and phoned Adam, Gemma's friend. He agreed to come out and help us. While waiting for him, I saw a figure of a woman in a light blue dress standing on a hill. Adam changed the tyre, and when we got back to Gemma's, he pumped up the punctured one again. And strangely, it stayed inflated with no sign of tear or damage. The caps on the tyres were checked before we went, and they were all okay for the long drive. And the next time we went was the following summer. On one of the hottest days of the year, we got out of the car, had a little walk around, and took a few photos and videos, hoping to catch something. But we didn't get anything. We had an EVP running while walking around the churchyard. The message that came through said, don't look. We were standing at a grave from the plague era. After another hour or so of walking around, we decided to call it a day and head home. Just after we left the village, I realised the EVP was still on. Though the sound had been turned down as I went to switch it off, it said, danger. I told Gemma what it said and we just turned it off. The next minute, as she pulled up to a crossroads, she stopped for traffic. And when the road was clear, the car moved forward and then stalled and wouldn't start again. The car was an automatic. She turned the hazards on and we both got out of the car to direct traffic around us. Not that they would have seen the hazard lights, as the sun was beaming on the rear end of the car. She decided to get back in and try again. The car started, so I jumped back in and off we went. We got half a mile up the road and this car came speeding towards us. The other driver was overtaking everyone at high speed. I don't know how we missed the car or how we didn't end up in a collision. I can't explain it, but it was the scariest experience I've ever had. I do believe we both had someone looking out for us that day, because what automatic car stalls? Now, instantly with this one, right, what comes to mind is, you know, it says, what does it say at first? It says, don't look, and it says danger. The don't look I can't explain, but the danger, it's almost like it made the car stall to try and keep them there for as long as possible because it knew this other car was bolting down, and maybe it managed to stall them for just long enough for this car not to hit them, and that was the point. But that's my gut feeling. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what you think of this story. Also, I want to go visit Eyam. I'm definitely going to go there. Derbyshire, so I live in Dorset. Derbyshire is a little bit away from me, but I'm going to try and plan some trips this year. I want to go to Chester. I want to go up north. I want to go to the Lake District. I want to go to Scotland. So I'm going to try and go and do all those things and do some spooky things on the way. I know that York has definitely got some ghost stuff that you can go and do there, so I might go and do that. Now, this is story 34. And I know who this one is from. It's Brett, because his name's here, which is brilliant. Brett messaged me on TikTok. Now, he does actually have a video on his page. If you go on TikTok and go on my followers and find Brett, you can actually have a look at this video. If it's still on his page, I think it should be. But the story he's told me is called It Grabbed My Ankle, which is just never a great title, but we're going to roll with it. He says, on the first night I moved into my house, it was about 1 a.m. and I awoke to the feeling that somebody was staring at me from the corner of my room. I saw nothing, but had the urge to call out to the corner, hello, who are you? My name's Brett. Nothing happened, but I always felt something or someone was with me in that house. A few months later, I had just installed Ring cameras outside and inside my house for security. I woke up on a Sunday morning, bleary-eyed, and saw a notification on my phone to say the camera in the living room had been activated. I checked the video and saw a pulsing light figure shape walking up and down the room, occasionally sitting down, and I guess even ghosts need a break. This freaked me out. I told friends and showed them the video, and they said, burn your house down and put it out with holy water, which was no help whatsoever. That's the kind of friend I am. I don't know how to help you, just burn your house down. Anyway, he says, that night before bed, I decided to try and engage with the apparition and said, hello, my name is Brett. What's your name? Do you need help? Nothing happened, but that night I felt something sit on my bed next to me, and what felt like a hand grabbed my right ankle. Oh, it's giving me the creeps. It's giving me the creeps that I don't like it. He said, cowardly, and in brackets, I'm watching many Scooby-Doo cartoons as a child. I hid under the duvet. We all know that ghosts and demons cannot attack you under the covers. It's just fact. It is fact. It's true, Brett. It's very, very true. After a couple of minutes, it got bored and disappeared. Thank God it got bored. This happened a lot over the next few months. I even returned home from work to find a freshly made bed with the imprint of someone who'd slept there on multiple occasions. So he's got up in the morning, he's made his bed, and he's come back and he's found the imprint of like wrinkled sheets where someone's laid down. I actually feel quite sad. Like, I hope no one's stuck there. One night, it sat on my bed. I opened my eyes cautiously and saw smoke billowing around the room like fog in an old Charles Dickens tale. What an absolute scene that is. The visuals in my head for that are brilliant. My first thought was, it's a fire. So I jumped out of bed, switched on the light, and checked for the source. But as quickly as the smoke appeared, it disappeared in an instant. I was never troubled again since that night. Was it a ghost or even a guardian angel? Who knows? But something did happen over those 6 months. That's brilliant. I love that. It's almost, do I find really strange when people have a haunted house, but then it doesn't last very long? It doesn't make sense to me. Does anyone know why that might happen? Because I always think if the spirit is in the house and there's been no blessing done or anything like that, surely it maintains its presence in the house. But how can you have a spirit there and then all of a sudden it's just gone, unless it has another location it likes to haunt as well? What are your thoughts on that? I need to know. Let me know in the comments. Now, this one is from Mick, and he is called Paranormal Investigation UK on TikTok, so you can go check out his page if you want. he had loads of stories. And this one is brilliant. Now, I did actually have a comment from someone. I'll let you know actually what they said after, but we'll discuss after. But this is called Red Eyes in the Camper. He says, hi, so my story goes back to 1998, 1989. 1989 is a brilliant year, Mick. Yours truly came into this world. Sorry, the commentary on this page is so annoying, isn't it? I'll try and stop. I'm just really excited tonight. Sorry, guys. I'm just really happy about this page. I'm really happy that I get to like come on here and talk to you guys and I get to read the stories. And, you know, I don't really care about how I look. Like, I don't wear foundation or anything. My eczema's still like blaring out. I don't know what's going on with my curly hair. It needs a wash, but I just love coming on here to talk to you guys. So I do get a bit carried away. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, he says a teacher from school was talking about Ouija boards and how we should all make one and try them at home. I thought this teacher was bloke, but it was a woman. And I don't know why a woman would tell loads of kids to go and make a Ouija board unless she was like part of a satanic club who just wanted kids to use it badly and most likely get possessed. I just don't know what she would get out of like suggesting that to kids. It's weird. Anyway, so he says, so being 14, 15, I decided to try it with some friends. My girlfriend and some of her friends came along too. My dad had a large American camper van at the time, and we used to travel around the country in it with my brother's bikes. He used to be a bit of a champion motocross rider. Anyhow, we all got together and tried to do the Ouija board in the camper. We all were playing around and being idiots because there were girls there, as you would expect being 14, 15 years old. It was a bit of a laugh, and everyone went home an hour later. Later that evening, I walked my girlfriend home. She lived across the car park at the back of my house, and the camper was parked at the bottom end. As we approached her garden gate, we both turned and looked at the camper. I don't know why. We must have both seen something move. However, I saw a pair of red eyes staring at us from the front seat. They blinked and then darted from left to right in the cab. I turned to see my girlfriend's reaction, and she had tears streaming down her face. I said, "Did you see that?" She turned and looked at me and said nothing. She ran into the garden and slammed the gate, barely missing me, and ran to my house again. I never went back inside that camper. My dad was planning on selling it anyway. Unbeknown to us, a few days later, it was gone from its spot. I asked where it had gone, and my dad said he had sold it to a friend. I've never tried a Ouija board since, and I always try and warn people who use them about the dangers. Why do I always feel like someone's around me when I read these stories? Like, I'm just looking like, is there anything in the background? No, there's not. It's just me. This is my chair, by the way. It was really funny. I think there was someone called Nikki, like, no shade, Nikki. This is all said with love. I'm not sure what your gender is actually, but basically they said, is that a ghost behind you? And I was like, no, it's my chair. Now, someone in the comments said about this this story and said, like, basically tried to make me look like a silly ass and just said, it's obviously like the red lights in the camper van. I don't own a camper van. I'm just telling the story for a start. Okay, so don't get mad at me. I'm just out here living my life, you know, just trying to entertain and be entertained. But Mick was insistent that this thing was moving from side to side. And I think if those lights were in there normally, if there were lights in there normally, red lights blinking, he probably would have known it was them. You know, they might have been 14, 15, but like, they're not stupid. Everyone has that sense. It's like when someone walks into a room that you just don't like. You don't know why. You've just got a sense about their energy. You don't like it. It's the same when something supernatural happens. Your body reacts before your brain does, because your body is like a receptor of energy and frequencies. It knows what the deal is before you do, and before you've even like cognitively been able to interpret what on earth is going on. So I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And obviously, you know, I believe anyway. I am obviously open to skeptical people. I believe that it makes, you know, what is it, like, variety is the spice of life, isn't it? People having different opinions and stuff. I think that's a beautiful thing. We can't all agree with each other. I don't want to shoot a skeptic down, but I do think at the same time, I know that are 14, 15 years old as well. They probably could have seen something and interpreted it wrong. But I just feel like they wouldn't, his girlfriend wouldn't have reacted the way that she did, crying, running to the house, slamming the gate, nearly knocking Mick out. If something didn't terrify the life out of her, a blinking light in a camper van, it would probably take a few seconds for their eyes to adjust, and then they'd be like, might be scared for a second, and then they'd be like, oh, hang on, it's just a blinking light in there. It's just maybe the alarm blinker going off. We all have those moments where we're scared for a split second and then we realize what it was. I remember when I was younger, I wasn't tall enough to see in the bathroom mirror. Then one day I could see the top of my head and I absolutely shat myself, thought something was behind me. We all kind of have those moments, but we realize and then we wet ourselves laughing. But this just sounds a bit different to me, you know? So I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I'm going to read you one more story and keep this episode probably fairly short, maybe two. Maybe I'll read you two more stories because, you know, I love spending this time with you. It's really fun. So this one is story 36 and it's called The Man at the Top of the Stairs. Who was this one from? I can't remember who this one's from. If I remember after, I'll let you know. Anyway, they say it was about 20 years ago or so. I was 18 or 19 and was babysitting my nieces. They were quite young at the time, probably 3 and 5 years old. My sister lived in a really old house, which was protected because of its age. But the previous owner had successfully managed to get permission to build an extension at the back of the house. Everyone knew the house was haunted. The kids had times where they would say they were afraid of the man at the top of the stairs. You would hear your name being randomly called and things would move, etc. Anyway, one night I was babysitting. The kids had been in bed for a while and it was late and my sister and her husband weren't home yet. I decided to go to bed and the bedroom was in the new extension. I hadn't even had time to fall asleep yet when I heard really heavy footsteps on the landing, starting at the top of the stairs and walking down to the door of my bedroom. They stopped, turned and walked back. I knew it wasn't the kids because these were really heavy, loud male footsteps. Freaking out, I knew I had to check if the kids were okay. Opening that door was the scariest thing I have ever had to do in my life. I can't even imagine how you found that moment. Thankfully, there was no one there. And then she's put in brackets. I remember this was a woman, but I can't remember who it was. Not sure how brave I would have been if someone was. I ran to their room and they were both out for the count. I ran back to my room and waited for my sister and her husband to get home. Ugh. Like I think we had a conversation with this woman and she said that I think the new extension like stopped at a certain point where the spirit who lived there before, thinking this is a person who lived there before, the guy who lived there before, must have like stopped at that part and turned around because maybe that's where in his dimension or in his memory that's where the house ended. Still, to open that door to go check on your nieces and nephews, like that is a pretty big deal. I know that I would do that too, but the fear of that is real, isn't it? This one is called it's story 37 and it's the matron in the corridor. I was working in the offices on the second floor of the hospital I work in. It was about 6 o'clock in the evening and I was carrying all the black bags I had collected from emptying the bins. It was still daylight as it was September time. As I came through one of the doors that divides the corridor, I looked to the end of the corridor, which was about 25 to 30 meters long. There stood an older lady in a cream blouse and a grey skirt. She was standing side on to me, so I couldn't see her face properly. I called her to see if she was okay and asked if she needed help because no one was supposed to be up there at that time. I also thought she might have been a lost patient, as we are a rehabilitation hospital and it is mainly the older generation we have, which is 60 plus. She just walked out of my vision and around the corner, so I put the black bags down to go and check. But when I got around the corner, there was a small kitchen and office. It was completely empty. I was on my own. I grabbed the black bags and went downstairs a little shaken. Another member of staff asked if I was okay, and I said yes, but explained what had just happened. She then said, "Did this lady have a cream blouse and a grey skirt on?" I said, yes. Now even more taken aback. She said, I saw the same thing about a month ago. She continued, I've been told it's the old matron and she's going to her old living quarters where the kitchen and the office are. I have never seen her again, but I have seen strange figures and shadows, and the activity usually happens when we've got a person close to passing away. I mean, it's pretty cool that she's there still doing her job, right? Listen, we're all going to die. Sorry to point that fact out to you. Let's just be real. Which means that you either believe in the afterlife or you don't. I do. If I'm going to be a ghost, there's no way in hell that I am still working. You know? I mean, I do a ghost podcast on the other side where maybe I talk about humans and all of their weird things that they do. But I'm not going back to work. This spirit must have been really caring to actually go to that place, or she just doesn't know that she's dead. But if you're dead, I wonder how you don't know that you're dead. Because I watch a lot of near-death experience stuff, and they say that they have no recognition of this body in front of them on the floor, but they're standing outside of their body now. But then they say after a minute or two or whatever the time frame is over the other side, apparently it just goes really quick. What feels like 3 months over there is about like a few minutes here, apparently. They then start to recognize that that is them on the floor, or that is them wherever they are on the operating table, or, you know, wherever they've had their accident in the car. So they do kind of realize that they are dead. I don't understand how you would not, but maybe this is just a topic of discussion that we need to have. So make sure that you let me know in the comments what you think. Now, if you have a ghost story or like a demon story, a time slip, a premonition, anything supernatural or a bit weird, or just something that you can't explain that happened to you, maybe your keys went missing, maybe you couldn't find something and it turned up when you asked spirit for help, anything like that, those stories are amazing. Maybe you stayed in an Airbnb and you had the creepiest experience of your life. Okay, email me, thedarklingchronicles25@gmail.com. I will put everything in the description, so you just can copy and paste the email address into your emails and just bang out, write a message. You know, don't forget you can use the dictator recording thing now, so you don't have to type it all out if that's easier for you. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at the Darkling Chronicles as well, if you're not watching me on there. And you can send me a message. You can send me pictures through Instagram as well, just in case you would like to. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone who has emailed me recently. I love reading your ghost stories. I love that there are people from America now watching this page, especially on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who continues to support me. And I will see you guys for some more ghost tea in the next episode. You take care of yourselves, please. Thank you.